Lily, there are a lot of cats loved in this house, and the parrots here are treated so respectfully and seen so deeply.
Four cats, six birds. Never planned to be the crazy animal people.
A few years back, about a week after we signed for this house, I was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer.
Stage
Stage 3.
3B.
3B. So, challenges, physical challenges, yeah. We moved in on a weekend where I just done a whole bunch of pulmonary testing to see if my lungs would be strong enough to go in for surgery. Honestly, if it wasn't for this house and these critters, I wouldn't have survived it.
What birds did you have then?
At that time, we already had Sam and Charlie, and we had Lee and Jake.
And now you have Mitzi and Pidge.
Come on, Pidge.
Yeah, we already had all our cats.
Mm-hmm. Old and showing his age.
That's Perseus.
Yeah.
And Orion?
18. Vesta was at the shelter. The day we adopted her, her brother got adopted by somebody else, and she was very, very sad. It took forever to get used to us, and now here she is. She will often greet people when she gets more comfortable. We have Vesta, who likes the basement, and then Kitten, who is not a kitten, who likes the upstairs.
The kitchen is Sam's terrain.
Yeah.
Anybody except for Charlie. Charlie can get away with being in the kitchen at the same time.
Charlie gets away with everybody. She's just a little ambassador.
Pidge rolls on her back. She did it by accident initially. She was sitting on Lily's chest and just sort of rolls. Mitzi, seeing Pidge getting praised for it, decided she could do it. So she came out on the balcony of her cage.
Talking about, the macaw.
And Mitzi took my hand, hanging upside down, guided my hand to one of her feet, and then guided another finger over to the other foot. And then she grabbed a hold. So I put my hand on her back, and she let go of it. Oh! Let go of her feet.
Did you decide Maggie was a safe zone?
And then the other day, Mitzi was on the side of her cage. I put my fingers on either side of her feet, brought her to my chest. She let go. I scooped her up and showed her we could do this upside down, a different way.
So now she likes it.
I went through the radiation therapy, chemotherapy. The doc said, you're young and healthy enough, we're going to hit you hard. In the hospital, I got MRSA, I fought off a septic infection, pulmonary embolism, DVT, deep vein thrombosis. Yeah, things did not look good. But every day, my wife would come and visit, and when she'd leave at night, she'd put the birds to bed and put the phone on speaker. There's the need to be back here with everybody.
Pidge here. She patiently taught me how to whistle one day when I was feeling ill.
How did you know she was teaching you and not just whistling?
She did this very complicated whistle. I wouldn't get it right, so then she went down to waited until I was able to get that one note, and then she'd add another note. Once I got, and very patiently, once I got through the whole thing, she had taught me this whole little complicated whistle. They're very smart creatures, and because of that, the other side of that is they need a lot to entertain them. Half of what we do with our birds is figure out what their rules are. Like Charlie, for example, as affectionate as she's being with David right now, if I tried to do the same thing with her, I would get a pretty good bite. But she will let me hold her if she flies to my shoulder, and then she and I can hang out for about 15 minutes, and then I know she's going to get too excited and have to leave.
You're talking about respect.
Yeah, respect.
A bird will always tell you exactly where the boundaries are, need to learn the cues. That applies to everybody, no matter what language they speak. So, and my definition of person is anything you can have a meaningful communication and interaction with. So, birds are people, cats are people.
This is Lee, 52 years old, we think, estimated. That's human years, which means she's the oldest person in the house. She is kind of shy. We won't keep her down too long because she's shaking a little bit. Or maybe we'll put her in the living room, see if she's happy there. But she is never going to leave us. She's always going to be with us.
Blind in one eye.
Blind in one eye. She came to us blind.
Nancy Tins of Seymour'sburg Refuge. One day we get this email from her saying, would you be willing to take in this elderly African gray? When I got there, I saw how afraid Jake was because he'd come from a bad situation. I couldn't help but bring him. Yeah, I'm talking about your story.
Jake, I'm going to take one step closer to you and see what happens. I hope that's all right with you.
Easy, you're okay. You're safe, Jake. For the first few months, Jake was in his cage. He wouldn't let anybody touch him. He'd get nervous when hands would go up high, so we kept our hands low. And we let him dictate the terms of the relationship.
You're taught his
But
name
we
is
were
Jake.
watching a movie once with somebody named Jacob in it, and he goes, Jacob, good bird. So we knew that he had both names. When we got him this cage, he was so excited watching David put it together. The cage that he lived in before coming here.
It's quarter the size of this.
Yeah, and he had been in that cage for a good solid 3 months without coming out. I didn't even want to bring it into this room to show you because I knew seeing it would bother him.
You talked about the woman who had him before.
But she kept him in a dark room. Didn't clean out the cages, didn't really tend to them, would go in and basically throw food at them.
Jacob loves flowers, and he spends so much time in his room because he's shy of the other birds that we actually plant flowers outside, and we call them Jake's flowers. And he gets very excited when we go outside, and we'll just do this little like happy dance. I always try to be the one to bring the flowers up so he knows they're from me.
So, for the longest time, we called him the fairy bird. Because he smells like flowers. It's another thing with Jake. A couple of years ago, I looked out the window and I said, it's snowing. And he looks at me and he goes, it's winter, it do that. And
He's our smartest bird.
I looked at him and I said, wow, you know that, Jake? And he looks at me and goes, why did Jake not know that? That's intelligence. It's not the phrase parroting, to parrot a word.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they learn what it is.
Yeah.
They will, if they hear a word that they don't know what it means, they'll say it a few times, and if I explain...
Yeah, especially to Jake, who just grasps concepts.
Excellent. What is excellent? Excellent is good, super good. Okay.
Super good special.
Super good special. We were watching the show Through the Wormhole. And the very first one is there God? And Jake is sitting here. He gets special time. Everybody bullies him.
He's he's definitely kind of like a gamma bird.
He's the wallflower. So after everybody goes to bed, I bring him out and he gets a couple hours with me. I do housework, clean things up. We watch a show. He eats his supper. Until he asked me what God.
Watch him through the wormhole.
It was hard to explain to anybody, to somebody who's different frame of reference.
Well, tell her the story real quick of how you felt that you could explain it to him.
Jake kept pet ants. We have ants in the house.
Drives me crazy.
Drop food for them, and they'd come out and they'd eat, and then I'd go in and I'd sweep up the food. Okay, God. Jake to ant, David to Jake, David to ant, God to David. And that's me. Okay. He's the best conversationalist in the house. Yeah, okay. Jake asked, David, Jake friend? And I said, yeah. And he was on my shoulder, and he was a little closer, and he goes, David, Jake's best friend? I said, yes, and he got all puffed and wiggled, which they do when they're very happy.
Yeah.
And I said, Jake, David, best friend? And he says, of course.
Jake sees me kind of as liable for David's attention. And Jake will be like, you go now. And then I'll walk away. They'll be like, thank you. But, you know, he tolerates me, and he knows that I have his best interest at heart. A lot of times birds, and that's another reason why sometimes they are unadopted, they will bond with a certain person, and you can't really choose who they bond with. I got Mitzi because she was afraid of men, so that she would bond with me, and she's really bonded with David. David is home more than I am. But you know, that doesn't mean, okay, she's replaceable. It means that those are her words.
Have you ever considered taking any animal that you've had back to where that animal came from, a shelter?
Yes, often with Mitzi, I will consider it, but it would be like taking him back.
Mitzi, when she gets yelling, she can get 150 decibels and above.
Yeah.
And when she's standing next to you, at that point, just like when your significant other has done that thing that you have told them not to do ever again, has done it for the 50th time. Mm-hmm. But then you get the snuggling, you get the tricks, you get the holding
just
upside
that
down.
Connection of being Sam. When we first got him, I asked the person we had adopted him from to take him back because he bit me. He just bit me horribly.
Oh, why didn't you return him after he bit you so much?
I saw his pain. I saw that he was grieving the loss of this relationship, this woman who didn't want him anymore. Oh my goodness, so much joy has come from that bird.
In spite of his
machismo.
Yeah, he also tries the hardest. Yeah. We walk through the kitchen to take Lee upstairs because that's her special place. Mm-hmm. He will get all flustered, and you could see him when he's charged, but he'll bite. Yeah. He'll bite the curtains. We do a touch and a bite.
He will scream with joy. I touch no bite. I touch no bite.
We left Pitch and Lee. They started talking to each other and chattering, and Lee got a little cantankerous. Her vocalization started sounding angrier. And Pitch said, "Why so grumpy, bird?" And Lee chattered up a storm for a bit, like, finally somebody to tell this to. And Pitch said, "That's okay. You're fine."
What would you say to people who think it's going to be too much added chaos to bring in another animal, whether it be bird or any other animal?
It's a legitimate concern. Think hard on it. Yeah. And also, if you are willing to, it can be made to work.
Yeah.
You definitely have to make adjustments.
Yeah, we're all, with Pitch new here, all of us are making adjustments. Everybody in the house. Because she is definitely a bundle of chaos. But with chaos comes vitality and comes life. Yeah, she was having a hard time at the shelter because she was so rambunctious and just had to stay in her cage. Yeah. No, you're not going to say hello? You're not.
For me, the most important thing is really knowing what you're getting into, thinking about it, paying attention, know the details. These are thinking, feeling, intelligent beings. They can quickly grow bonds with people, just like a child. Deep psychological traumas can happen. Mm-hmm. Mitzi bounced around between so many different homes. That's why whenever a new person comes into our house, she's always afraid that she's going to be made to go away.
So, same with Jake.
Yeah, same with Jake. Sam and Charlie have been with us long enough. They're like, you haven't gotten rid of us by now. You're not going to. But each time somebody says, yes, I can do this, and gets the animal home and then says, this just isn't working out, and brings it back to a shelter, you're adding an emotional burden onto that being.
The other side of that, though, is the keeping of an animal and erasing that emotional burden and feeling that animal blossom and come out of its shell it's so much more rewarding. When Jake finally started being willing to sit on shoulders and talk with us, we felt like superheroes.
Yeah.
When an animal needs something and you can fulfill it, it's amazing. That makes you feel more connected to the universe in ways that are worth the messes and the screams and the bites.
How does having all these animals with you affect other aspects of your life?
Well, two different ways, I would say, really, for me. I'm a crisis social worker. The birds have taught me you can learn so much if you're just really able to listen to what a person wants to give them that reward. Plus, they're so entertaining. De-stressing from work. I need my pitch time. Wow! Hello.
Hello. Okay. Oh.
Maggie Davis makes videos and podcasts on behalf of animals in need. Maggie S. as in Sam Davis at gmail.com, 207-266-7673. This has been an Open Wide the Door video presentation.